That Don't Sound Right is a podcast about talking the way we did before the internet, when you could not prove anyone right or wrong.
All the expertise was contained in the people involved with the conversation. I'm Peter.
I'm Cecil, and I hope you enjoy our conversations. And as you listen, if you find yourself silently saying, "That don't sound right," send us a comment. You're one of us.
Don't squeeze the Charmin. And it's basically a picture of a solitary square of Charmin toilet paper. Welcome back to another episode of That Don't Sound Right, a podcast about talking. We're your co-hosts, Peter Bielman.
I'm Cecil Davis.
We're just trying to have a conversation without Googling it or fact-checking things online. You know, those things can so easily kill the conversation. I hope that makes sense to everyone who might be new to listening to us. I know it's the summertime, and there's probably some road trips going on.
Yeah, and maybe you're picking us up for the first time, and so we're just, all the podcast is about is just talking and having a conversation without doing anything to kill the conversation.
And we usually do talk about something that don't sound right. Usually you'll bring something up or I'll bring something up.
Like tonight, it doesn't sound right that we're not in the same building. I'm in the Camel City studio proper and you're in the annex. And yet we're still figuring out how to make it work.
Yeah. So if you're new to listening, so I'm Peter Bielman. I'm an engineer in the heavy truck industry. I love things outside. I like mechanical things, and I like trying to figure things out, especially if I don't know things about them. But part of this podcast is a creative outlet for me to be able to just think out loud in front of everyone. And sometimes I'm right. Sometimes I make sense, and other times it just makes people laugh.
And the reason we're kind of doing a little reintroduction during this episode is because we've had a lot of people join the podcast recently. And so I'm Cecil Davis. I'm a pharmacist by trade. Also enjoy the outdoors and figuring out how things work. Both of us are working on a project car, like tinkering around with mechanical things just to see how they work. You get our perspective on topics, and tonight you've got a topic for me.
All right. So this was sent in from a listener, a longtime listener, Brad. He sent an email. The email was, "Don't squeeze the Charmin." And it's basically a picture of a solitary square of Charmin toilet paper. Mm-hmm. And a square of toilet paper is usually that. It's square. It's straight on all four edges. But this particular sheet or square, I won't call it a square anymore because the edges that are perforated, the edge is perforated is not a straight line. It's wavy. It's curved. And Brad's asking the question, why they do this? And how do they justify changing the machinery to do this? And I agree with him. These paper mills, if we just built a new factory at Volvo, and I don't know, and just based on how much that cost, I bet you a paper mill costs anywhere from a half a billion to $1 billion to make one of these paper mills. And the tool that cuts this paper, I bet you it's a $20 million tool in and of itself. So they had to do this on purpose and for good reason. And I've been racking my brain trying to figure this out. Now, when I mentioned this to you, Cecil, you said something about a commercial.
Yeah, so I actually know the answer, which I'm going to hold off for a minute, because after we got the picture from Brad, we got pictures from other people who saw actually in the world the wavy-cut toilet paper.
Yeah, we mentioned in a prior episode that we were going to talk about this.
So our brand ambassador sent a picture from out in Colorado where he saw an actual roll of wavy-cut toilet paper. And didn't you see a roll somewhere?
No, I don't think I did.
So I've seen the commercial for it now.
Yeah, but do you believe the commercial?
Well, your skepticism is going to go even higher once you hear of why.
Okay.
All right. So I want to get back because I think there's a couple things we need to explain. You said when Brad sent this in, he said the title to his letter was "Please Don't Squeeze the Charmin." which you may not realize was an old commercial from the probably late 70s, early 80s. And it had a character in it called Mr. Whipple. And he was a storekeeper. And the premise is that Charmin was so plush, people would squeeze it. And so Mr. Whipple was always telling people, please don't squeeze the Charmin in the store. Either buy it or don't, but don't stand there and squeeze it. So that was a little catchphrase from that commercial. And you're right. The die, the machine to cut toilet paper, just changing that die could be very, very expensive.
Yeah.
I know this from when we've had to have dies cut for different products in the industry that I am in. And some of those pieces can be, like you said, very, very expensive. So this had to be something they really thought about before they did it. Okay, so here's what the commercial was.
Okay.
Saw the commercial. The commercial is they are making the line curvy because it tears cleaner.
Yeah, I gotta say that don't sound right. That's the last thing that sounds right about this. It tears cleaner.
I've got to be imagining that they probably put together some type of focus group, right? What was there a big problem with toilet paper tearing prior to the curvy cut?
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, is there usually when you make a change or an innovation, you're trying to solve a problem.
Yes.
And this implies that the problem was that it's very hard to rip toilet paper off. I'm just not buying it.
That's what they're saying, is that it is a cleaner, easier tear with the curvy cut. Now, my question to you is, would the cleaner tear make you buy that particular brand of toilet paper?
That's the thing. Maybe if I had a rash of missed tears on my other brands.
Of all the things in my life, I have very little complaints about toilet paper.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are some things to complain about in some of the less expensive brands, maybe the ones that you have at work, but I still can't think through the tearing issue.
Like if I was going to complain about toilet paper, it would be about the inability to get a roll started sometimes. But
that's why I think they did it.
Why? 'Cause to make it easier to start?
I think so. That would have been my guess. So one of my guesses, what they went to this pattern, is that it leaves a sharp corner. And that sharp corner is it actually would probably it would roll out away from the main roll just on its own. So you have a place to go grab that toilet paper and instead of trying to fiddle, where's the edge of it? Where's the end of it? That this wavy edge actually essentially gives you little tabs so you can immediately see where the edge of the toilet paper is.
Maybe
that was my first guess.
If that's what happens, then it may sway me to buy wavy edge toilet paper.
Well, clearly they would have pushed that though. They would have said, look, this is so much easier to get it started. It's so easier to find the edge with our wavy toilet paper. But they didn't push that on the commercial, no?
I don't remember them pushing that on the commercial. Now, I think we'll have to do a head-to-head comparison.
I don't know about Cecil.
Separately, we will do a comparison of wavy edge toilet paper to straight edge toilet paper.
So this is my thing. I don't think. I mean, I think this could fall into several different categories of problems they're trying to solve. My first one was that it would be easier to grab this corner and find the edge. I actually felt that the wavy toilet paper would be more difficult to tear because you've now introduced a longer line that you have to tear, right?
Yeah.
Right now, if it's just straight across, it's only the width of the paper. But now that you introduce this wave, you've actually increased that line. That's actually more that you have to tear, assuming they made the perforations just a little bit different to account for that.
I would have loved to have been in on this conversation.
I think there's something else going on here.
What's that?
I think another possibility, Cecil, is that they have changed the composition of the toilet paper. Now, I have heard that the wood that is used to make toilet paper,
Mm-hmm.
it's a very specific type of wood that it has to be of a certain density that usually only comes from old growth forests.
Really?
And so, and in reality, we are running out of these old growth forests. So it's difficult to find this wood. So what I'm thinking they've done is they've changed the composition of the paper.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what that means though, is that they had to rebuild their paper mill. Now, this gave them the opportunity to change the tool to do something, fancy like this. But I think there's something more. I think they created that line, the wavy line, to give a longer surface area so it's actually harder to tear because of the processing. The new machines that are making the new toilet paper are running so fast these days that, I bet you the roll of these things, I bet you these things are going 20 to 30 miles an hour, the actual paper. And I bet you they start off with a roll that's as wide as a table.
Oh, absolutely.
And so they are spinning that thing 30 miles an hour. And then the question is, where do they put the perforation?
Yeah.
Do they put the perforations before they split it into rolls? Or do they put a perforation across the whole width of this big roll? My guess is they're doing across the whole width of the big roll.
Yep.
And then it breaks off into the different rolls. And the thing was going so fast, a straight line perforation was failing. It was breaking too often because of the new composition of the paper and the new speeds of these machines. So they had to put the waviness in it to help with the strength of the paper connection so it doesn't fly apart during production.
That is a true engineer speaking.
That is my theory.
That's a good theory. I would love to have been in on this conversation though. If it was a purely engineering conversation, then I get it. But if it was anything to do with marketing, or maybe they did it for an engineering reason and then turned it over to the marketing department and they're like, no, we're going to put a spin on this. We're going to tell everybody it's easier to tear.
Yeah, I think both could be true. The other thing that could be true is they literally did build a new plant. They literally could have built a new plant and they had the opportunity to do something new, to have a unique selling point. They had to make this new tool anyway for the perforation machine. So let's just go ahead and make it wavy. We got to build a new one anyway. Or the old tool wear out. This happens with cars, you're wondering, I'm sure people wonder, why do they redesign cars so often? Well, at the end of about 4, 5, 6 years, the tool that stamps all the metal parts is wearing out.
Right.
And they got to replace the tool anyway. So, if you have to replace the tool, you might as well replace it with a brand new tool that completely changes the design of the car. Yeah. Maybe the same thing happened here.
Well, there's an old skit that Bob Newhart does where he's doing like a focus group for cars.
Okay.
And the guy goes, why are we putting, he said, what? He said, we're going to put fins on the new car. And one of the guys says, well, what's fins going to do? And Bob says, it's going to keep us in business. So I think you're probably right. They probably make changes at the end of their tool life with marketing in mind, that they'll market a new product. But I got some others for you.
You got some other what? Ideas?
Well, no, I would ask you some questions based on this. I've been thinking about this. All right. So you got the wavy toilet paper now. Wavy line toilet paper is being marketed. Did you, when they came out with the covered waistband underwear, did you think that was like a big deal?
I don't remember this season.
It was the comfort band underwear, like Michael Jordan advertised it. And so it was the elastic band in underwear was covered. So it was supposedly more comfortable.
What was it covered with?
Fabric.
Just the same fabric as the brief?
Yep. All right. So there was that.
No, I don't even remember that.
All right.
Do they still sell it?
I don't know. It was a thing for a while.
Well, what did you think of it?
I thought it was about like curvy line toilet paper. Like I was like, why? I didn't know that there was an issue.
There was a problem that they solved for you.
Yep.
And you didn't even know you had that problem.
So here's the other one, tagless t-shirts. Do you remember this?
Yeah, I do remember that as of late. Yes. Yeah.
They were advertising that the tag was so irritating that they needed to now make shirts without tags.
Yeah.
I never had if the tag's irritating, I just tear it out.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with me in tags is they're usually flipping out. I don't know, and everyone's correcting my tag.
But then you just tear it out. All right. So then here's the other one I thought of, the zipper on Ziploc bags.
Okay.
So, for years you just had a Ziploc bag and you matched up the two sides.
Right.
And then they color coded it to make it a little easier.
Well, then they double zipped it, right?
They double zipped it. And then they just added a zipper.
Yes, that plastic slider.
Right. Once again, solving a problem, which is not necessarily.
Now, I think that solves a problem.
Do you really?
Oh yeah, I do think that solves a problem.
Well,
have you not had issues closing a Ziploc bag?
Absolutely.
Okay. Then they've solved the problem.
But I don't know if I had issues to the point that I needed the zipper.
Yeah. Do you buy zipper bags instead of regular Ziplocs?
I don't. Now, my wife probably chooses them, or she probably buys what's on sale. But I don't go there and go, okay, I'm going to buy this bag because it's easier to close. But it is easier to close.
I think the zipper Ziploc does have a flaw. Because of that plastic bit, you can never really get it closed all the way.
Yep. No, it won't close all the way.
There's always a slight little opening in the corner.
What about this? Have you ever bought a water bottle? Water. People say I can't say water correctly. A water bottle.
Hey, you know what? You know what? One listener wrote in and said you can't say the word bench either.
Hey, I can't say bench?
Yeah, no, you can't.
The word bench?
Yeah, it sounds too much like another word.
Bench. Disposable bottle of water with a spout.
Ah, yes. No, that's a good one.
You like that?
I do like that.
So
I do like. In fact, I like that for backpacking trips. Actually.
So it's too much to take the top off. You needed a spout.
Yeah. Well, it's you know what the problem is. Actually, it doesn't really. You maybe didn't have a problem, but it actually adds a feature in that the hole is a little bit smaller and you have the ability to squirt it.
Yeah.
Right. You could squeeze the bottle now and send a stream of water somewhere to wash off something.
Oh, yeah.
Or if you have something that's annoying you, you can squirt it.
All right. What about a resealable bag of cookies?
Oh my gracious. Like the cellophane that you lift up on Oreos and you
take it back down. Yeah.
That has solved the problem.
In my house, we never had to reseal a bag of cookies.
Well, because
we ate them.
Two things: you either eat them really quickly, A, or B, you don't mind them getting soft and stale, after a couple of days.
Yeah. Cookies never went stale, and we really never had a problem with resealing. But would you buy a box of cookies or a bag of cookies with a reseal on it over just a non-resealable bag?
Well, I mean, if I had Oreo A and Oreo B,
mm-hmm.
I would definitely pick the Oreo bag that had the resealable one. Definitely. My issue is once you take that tray of cookies out of the cellophane bag,
mm-hmm.
they're not going back in. As you jam them back in, they just tear the cellophane open. Now you've got no way to seal it. Now your cookies are getting stale. No.
Yep.
The resealable cookie pouches, man, those are great. What a great invention. What a great invention. Don't poo-poo those, man. Those are fantastic.
I got one last one for you. And that is a dripless pour spout, whether it be ketchup or oil or whatever. Would you buy the dripless over just the standard?
No, I wouldn't. I don't think I'd even notice. I don't think I'd even notice the problem.
But
I have noticed oil being a problem, but usually like cooking oil,
mm-hmm.
but usually in all of these things, what they've done is they've taken a product that I've already liked and they've just made it better. Like if they actually went, like on the Oreos, if they went back to the regular old package.
Yeah.
And now Chips Ahoy is the only cookie brand that has the resealable top.
Mhm.
Still not going to buy Chips Ahoy. I'm just going to buy the Oreo.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Does this stuff really make any difference in the world of, like, if I were going to buy a bottle of ketchup and they have a bottle of dripless ketchup and a regular ketchup, I don't know that it's going to make me buy one or the other over the other.
Wait, what's this dripless thing you're talking about?
So, they make ketchup now that's upside down.
Oh, that thing, the squeeze bottle.
That it doesn't, it's less mess. It's the less messy lid. And there's several products that have that. Like you'll see it on laundry detergent, the no mess lids. All right. Well, those are the only products I had.
Well, yeah. I mean, thanks for thinking through all those. You went through a long litany of products that things people have made improvements on. This is very similar to our episode number 79. If y'all want to go back and listen to it, called That Don't Taste Right. Let me say it again.
Okay.
This is very similar to a previous episode 79, That Don't Taste Right. Cecil and I brought in some snacks that the snack companies tried to improve by changing and kind of sprucing up the flavor of the snacks.
Yeah.
You should go back and listen to that, because we actually eat those snacks, taste those snacks, and most of the time reject those snacks.
I can still taste the Pepsi.
Oh, yes. Well,
the peep flavored Pepsi.
Yes. Peep flavored Pepsi for people keeping track.
So I saw one we need to try out this week, and that is Dr. Pepper flavored beef jerky.
Oh, no, I don't think so.
All right. Well, this has been our episode going through all the improvements on products that may or may not actually be improvements. So if you run into the curvy cut toilet paper, let us know what you think.
Yeah, I got to know that. I mean, I wonder if there's a patent on this, and that it'll be a while before we see it in the truck stops.
That don't sound right, but you have come to the end of this episode of That Don't Sound Right.
Before we close, we want to thank everyone for listening, especially if this is your first time. If you enjoyed the conversation, would you consider hitting the subscribe button on the platform you listen with? Also, if you're a longtime listener, please give us a rating and leave us a review so others can easily find us and join the conversation.
Yeah, and don't underestimate the power of your social media. Even if you're just have a few followers, post us on your social media. Right. You'll be just like us. Post us on your social media and get us out there to your tens of followers. It doesn't matter if it's Instagram, if it's Facebook, if it's LinkedIn. It really does help us out. Make sure you visit the website because Peter does a good job on that. And also follow us on Instagram at TDSR Podcast and repost that for us. That helps us out. All right. That Don't Sound Right is a production of TDSR Podcast in conjunction with Camel City Studios. I'm your co-host, Cecil, and your part-time sound engineer now that we've got AI on board. Peter is your other host and does our web design. Camille is our barista. Emily does our graphic design. Ella does our Instagram. Giorgio tests our merchandise. And Brent is our international brand ambassador. And as always, listener number one is Scott. All right. So until next week, keep talking.
And stay